Hello, I'm Angie Grillo, and today I am pleased to be presenting a workshop on growth mindset as a leadership practice. By the end of this workshop, you will be able to identify the difference between a growth and a fixed mindset, articulate why having a growth mindset is an important leadership practice, and adopt practices to increase your growth mindset. First, I will present several issues that have been studied in educational settings regarding the benefits of helping students develop a growth mindset. In the early 2000s, educators began being interested in the work of Carol Dweck and colleagues regarding students who have a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. In several landmark studies, psychologists sought to learn what ingredients make some students successful and some not. What was observed was a difference in mindsets. With a fixed mindset, students were found to believe that their own intelligence is not likely to change. Therefore, they will avoid challenges and give up easily. They will see feedback as criticism and feel their effort will not help them. With a growth mindset, students were more likely to embrace challenges, seek to learn from feedback in order to get better, and placed value on effort. Those students with a growth mindset were shown to be more successful. The good news for educators, according to the research, was that as students were given opportunities to believe their abilities were not fixed, they were actually able to demonstrate the impact of that belief through increased learning. In several in-classroom studies, students who were instructed about how their effort and beliefs could positively impact learning, their own learning, increased their learning as compared to control groups who were not given that instruction. These results were very encouraging. As research continued, psychologists realized that the student's motivation for learning was a key factor. If a student was focused on performance, they tended to not care if they learned something in the process, and they saw failure or a setback as a personal threat. As a result, these students began to avoid activities that they had not yet to master. If a student was focused on learning, however, they tended to take necessary risks and see each failure as a chance to learn, which increased their learning. Again, very encouraging results. In this next section, I will discuss how the research on growth and fixed mindset applies in a professional setting and is an important part of practices in leadership. It isn't that much of a leap to consider how a growth mindset might help people throughout their lives, not just as a student. Many professional sports organizations and businesses have shown interest in Dweck's work over the years, with a consideration of how the practices could be applied in these different settings. The mindset that we approach tasks with is not absolute across our personalities. It is possible to be generally growth-oriented but still limit ourselves in some facet of work or life. Have you ever heard someone say, "I'm just not a people person," or "I'm not very good at talking in public"? By talking about a task or skill in this way, their mind has become fixed on that attitude and is shut down for future learning. For me, I have seen this come about in my life and my attitude about gardening. Through failed attempts and setbacks at some point in my life, I have come to the conclusion that I do not have a green thumb. However, as I consider other tasks that I've been able to learn and increase my skill in, I realize that I have responded to setbacks in gardening not by learning and trying again, but by quitting. It is important to note how this might show up in a work setting. We need to be in tune with our mindset as we go about our work. As a leader, you might find yourself in the same mindsets that were described in the classroom. Reflect on the following questions. Are you curious about the work of other teams in the organization? Or do you just focus on what you believe you are going to be held responsible for? Do you approach work with an expectation of success or failure? Do you face challenges courageously, or do you shy away from work that seems too challenging? Research has shown that a growth mindset instills in a person a sense of possibility and persistence that leads to higher learning and success. Later in this workshop, we will discuss practical tips for how to develop growth mindset in yourself and others. As a leader of a team, you are responsible for your own growth and development and influence the growth and development of others. By understanding the brain science behind growth mindset, leaders can come to understand that the focus on growth and development will continue to help the individual and the team toward high performance. With this belief comes a call for action. Consider how much time you spend on your team members' growth and learning. Too many times as leaders, we know this conceptually, but do not take the time to take action toward coaching for learning. Now that you understand the research behind growth mindset and how it applies as a leadership practice, what can you do about it? In this next section, I will give you some tips for implementing your learning. Like the old adage, put your own oxygen mask on before assisting others, you will want to apply growth mindset in your own work first. This focus will have the dual effect of modeling behavior for others and increasing your own abilities. An important part of learning is adopting a habit of reflection. By building time into your week or into work tasks to reflect on your own learning, you will begin to recognize your own abilities. When you experience setbacks, reflection helps to frame your thinking away from disappointment and defeat and toward what you learned. By recognizing the learning, you continue to make yourself a more valuable team member. Just like individual reflection is an important practice, so is project debriefs. As you lead work teams and efforts, make it a practice to ensure your teams are coming together to discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of a project. It is important to not only debrief the outcome, but the process the team took to get there. Did they learn valuable lessons along the way? Did they share those lessons with each other? Did they ever feel like giving up but persevered? By approaching the work this way, you are helping the team naturally increase their ability to learn. Just like the student who focuses on performance at all costs and then shies away from challenging tasks, people who are solely evaluated by outcomes might have a tendency to focus on those outcomes at all costs. Even when they are capable of more, they may shy away from trying the new or the different because the performance goal itself was achieved. Make a conscious effort to set learning goals with your team members. If you have someone who has a tendency to want to know exactly what the outcome should be, encourage them to think about what they hope to learn from the project or task as well. By coaching in this manner, the team member will expand their belief in self. Regardless of the type of role you currently hold, you can put growth mindset into action by mentoring others. Not only can you help others expand their own learning, you will learn more about yourself in the process. It is very common for mentors to feel that they have gained more than they have given in a mentor-mentee relationship. By forging new relationships across the organization, you will also be putting the relationship value into action. I will now summarize what we have discussed in this workshop. In summary, growth mindset is an important leadership practice and one of the core practices in the Leader and Manager CLL libraries. By adopting practices that help you and your team develop a growth mindset, you help the organization work to its full potential. I highlighted several ways that you can practice a growth mindset for yourself and others. Start today. You can reflect on your own work and what you are learning. Make sure you set aside time for that on your calendar. Schedule the next project debrief. Ask a team member to set learning goals. And finally, continue to expand your network by offering to mentor others or seek out a mentor for yourself. I highly recommend the book Make It Stick by Peter C. Brown, Henry L. Roediger III, and Mark A. McDaniel. You can learn more about Dweck's work in the Stanford Magazine article, The Effort Effect. Additionally, you can find other resources for developing growth mindset by using the Common Language of Leadership app on your desktop. Thank you for your participation in this workshop.